The Indian Air Force is facing a significant depletion in its fighter aircraft strength. Frequent crashes, supply chain issues, and reliance on GE for engines has further hindered the IAF's efforts to maintain combat readiness. Now, the IAF currently faces a deficit of around 11 fighter aircraft squadrons. The sanctioned strength is 42 squadrons. The Air Force has just 31 squadrons. Now, even considering the planned induction of 12 additional Su-30 MKI over the next 3 years, it's a drop in the ocean, the gap remains significant. With all the MiGs, 21s and 29s, and Jaguars set to be phased out over the next decade, how is the IAF going to meet its aircraft shortage? How is the Air Force going to meet its requirement for 30 squadrons at the very least? Will the Air Force propose a public-private partnership model to set up more production lines for the LCA and Tejas? Joining me to discuss this is my colleague Deepak Badana, who's just returned from the briefing by the Air Force Chief. Deepak, tell us what the Air Force Chief's two big worries were when it comes to the Air Force, Indian Air Force.
More than worries, there were words of reassurance on his part.
Right.
As he stated, they're doing everything that they possibly can, and there are larger decisions at play. There's the government, there are budgets, there are n number of issues, there are supply chain issues that are going on right now. So presently we have 31. One of the things that he stated quite clearly and emphatically was that should HAL be able to produce as many as say 24 LCAs every year, we are positive that we'll stay above the 30.
So 24 is the number of aircraft LCAs that he needs every year.
Every year. Presently, that's not happened. Right. Now the new Air Chief, Air Marshal A.P. Singh, declined to go after HAL. It's a common refrain that HAL makes new excuses and old ones to explain failures. He refrained from doing that, because as he explained, everyone is dealing with more or less the same issues presently. Right. So he says that now they have a third line of assembly which is not operational as of now.
HAL has a third assembly line for
So should
LCA.
they be able to get 24 LCAs every year, they'll be able to stay above the 30 squadron mark.
Right. So the 24 aircraft are going to come from HAL and the private sector.
This is largely HAL.
Right.
As of now, there were other things as well. So, for instance, he spoke about the MRFA.
Right. So that's a new thing, the multi-role fighter aircraft, or the MRFA, which is basically the MMRCA, reborn, a new avatar of the MMRCA, which was the requirement for 126 imported fighter aircraft. What is the Air Force saying about the MRFA?
So let me first tell you how the IAF looks at itself, give or take 5 to 10 more years.
Right.
So what they envision is that we'll have something like say 200 of the LCA Mark 1s and Mark 1As. We would then have an additional 7 squadrons of the Mark 2s, and we would have say 7 squadrons or 6 to 7 squadrons of the MRFA. Now what he tells us that the RFP for the MRFA has been floated.
Right.
But the chief requirement in that RFP is that beyond anything, the aircraft has to be made in India.
Right.
Considering the supply chain issues the world has been facing for 3 years right now. He also spoke about air defense capabilities.
Yes.
An important point of note was that while our air defense systems are strong enough, they're quite potent, but considering the vastness of the Indian subcontinent, we simply do not have the numbers. So we have the capabilities, but not the capacities.
We don't have the capabilities, but we have the capabilities, but we don't have the
capacities. So the IAF will be put in a difficult position where it will have to prioritize what to protect.
Right.
So that is an additional problem.
That's an additional problem indeed. And given the way the security scenario seems to be changing every day, Deepak, and our two-front worries are not going away anytime soon. Right. Given China's moves on the northern frontiers, the Indian Air Force is going to be closely looked at for its fighter aircraft, especially when it comes to fighting the Chinese when they come over the Himalayas. But that was Deepak Badana for us, breaking down what the Indian Air Force's dilemmas are as Air Force Day approaches on the 8th of October.